Hey, I'm Kenneth Wajda. I'm a professional photographer here in Colorado. Welcome to another one of my weekly equipment experience talks where I talk about gear that I've used and my thoughts on it. It's not really equipment reviews, it's more about user experience. Cameras that I use and that I like to use, or if I do use them, sometimes they have some issues and I talk about that. And before we get started, if you are not a subscriber, please subscribe. If you are not a supporter, please consider making a small donation or doing some kind of a monthly $5 a month. That would be huge to keeping this show going. I've been doing 3 shows a week for a few months now, and I'm trying to keep it going, but business is tough. The freelance business is tough. I could use your support. Go to supportkenneth.com or just click the Patreon link. All right, so today's talk is about the Olympus Stylus. I think it's also called the MJU or something like that. But in America, they were labeled as the Stylus. And this has a fast 35mm f3.5 lens. It's a point and shoot. And everybody loves these. And I think I've seen pictures of Robert Frank walking around with them, and I don't really like it. I find it to be fiddly. I feel like I have a hard time using my phone to make photos that aren't blurry because it's not enough of a form factor for me. And I find the same thing is true for this. I kind of feel like I don't know what I can't hold it still enough. Some people love these and they command a pretty good price on the used market. But if you ask me, as a person who has put one of these in his pocket and used it, I'd much rather pull out that Leica 3F from my pocket than this. I'd much rather pull out that Kodak Retina 3C than this. This has a built-in flash. I have to constantly make sure to turn it off because I don't want a flash. I just don't find this camera works for me very well. And it's sure it has a sharp lens, and if you know how to hold it steady and if you use it well, if you put a flash on for snapshots, that'll freeze your shot. That'll probably make it sharp. But it's just not one for me. For me, it just feels too plasticky and too fiddly. And I would say it's great for somebody who's not a photographer. But if you're a real photographer who's working and likes to have control, there's no settings on it for ISO. It's all DX coded and automatic. And I think they're cute. I think they're in demand. If you have one, you can get some money for it. But I don't know that I really would recommend it as liking it. And that's the trick, is like you have to actually use it for a while and say you like it. And I've used it, and I always feel like I've taken it out to barbecues, and that seems like a perfect place for a camera like this. And I'm shooting, and I'm not really sure what I'm seeing is what I'm going to get. And it doesn't feel like the Olympus XA, the little clamshell camera with a rangefinder focus, that feels sure. This doesn't feel sure to me. So you can find these, and they definitely are somewhat of an in-demand item. I don't know that they're worth it. To me, they're not. And sometimes I have to talk about cameras that I really don't like at all. This camera I want to like more, but I tend to feel like I just can't really get the shot. Or if I shoot, I don't know what I got, because it doesn't feel like I'm confident that the camera can do what I want it to do, since it's so automated and I have no control. The Olympus Stylus. All right, that's today's photography talk. Did you ever use one? Do you have any comments? Can you share your experiences in the comments below? That would be great. I'll be back next week. We'll talk more cameras. And if you are not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Again, if you can support in any way, please hit the Patreon. That's a big help to keeping these shows going. And I'll be back next week and we'll talk photography. As always, here's the good light.